The dream time has been described as representing the deepest well of our collective memories, which connect us all to our distant origins. Reenacted in Aboriginal rituals, stories, dance and songs, each language group has its own distinct interpretation of the dream time. These profound cultures, which might well be over 100,000 years old, celebrate and see all the actions of their ancestors in the vast landscapes, rock formations, and vegetation around them. They see, feel, and relive their connection to all of nature and the cosmos, and its people's place in it, through a living celebration of their individual creation myths and the natural world. The dreaming, as it is known, connects past, present, and future in one dream, in the ever-evolving cycles of life, birth, and death.
Well, the dream time is made up of stories that were told by the fire, just like this. Well, the fire to the Mirning is so important, and it's been a special part of the Mirning's dreaming. In our language, fire means gala. And all our stories were passed down from my grandfather, my mother, and my cousins, of myths and legends of the beginning.
In a past before remembering, a great white whale spirit came, Jidara. He came from the stars to swim in the oceans of the infinite void. As the seven sisters chased down after him, Jidara dived into the vast blue depths, thrashing his tail, and rose to meet the dawn. Creating the earth and sky, leaving the echoes of his dreamtime journey imprinted in the Whale Rock.
We are born as a result of the whale being the mother of the sea.
We are the Mirning, an old people from an ancient land. In the time of the beginning, we were born from the ocean, in the foam along the shores of the great South Seas. In the dance of the beginning, we were born to dream the whales.
The whale is our family. Over thousands of years, we have come to this place where the whales gather every winter to mate and give birth. We share food together. We eat shellfish off the same table. The reefs, they are our brothers and sisters in the ocean. When we die, it is with them we return to Yirrkala, the morning star.
Despite their rich cultural heritage, like most Aboriginal peoples, the language group known collectively as the Mirning suffered unimaginably at the hands of history. Margaret Laurie explains.
I don't like to say it, but it was a policy of it was really genocide, you know.
When the Europeans came, the Mirning were herded into reservations and forced to leave their culture behind.
A lot of Aboriginal people had to learn to become Christians, and a lot of people have taken on that religion, various religions. So there was a period where the churches took over.
The systematic destruction of Mirning culture and dreaming happened over time, covered up by a collective denial which is now known as the Great Australian Silence.
My cousin Iris, who is still living today, she lived through that life.
Iris Burgoyne is one of the most respected of this clan of Mirning elders. She was born at the Coonabah Mission on the west coast of southern Australia. Like so many of Aboriginal descent, she was part of what is called the Stolen Generation, a period of Australian history rarely talked about before the 1970s.
And she grabbed two little kids one day from this lady, and she put them in the car, that they used to come with the government car, and away they went, and that woman never saw those two little kids again. It was very hard. But my father was taken away when he was a young man.
Then, at a young age, Iris was also plucked from her family, as her father had been before her, and sent to work as a domestic servant.
They were doing some wicked things, but I can't say it here. I'd like to say it, but I can't say it here now. If they say he was a peace-loving man, why did they do these things to people? And they believed in God. We had to just do as we were told by them.
The Mirning, who for years had been involved in their own communal conflicts, were further wiped out by various so-called flu epidemics and other diseases.
My people knew different. They said, that's not influenza. He wasn't sick. He was quite all right last night. Next morning he's gone. I reckon they poisoned him.
The Mirning's special relationship with the whale was severely compromised with the introduction of whaling in their coastal waters.
The Mirning people just got right away from it because they couldn't stand to see the whales getting killed and speared and things like that.
It's like watching their own children being killed. Part of the family. It was horrible.
Over the last 300 years, we have killed millions of these magnificent beings. Well before our petrochemical dependence, it was with the oil and blubber of these totemic sacred animals that the 19th century's Industrial Revolution was built. As the whales' populations plunged close to extinction, according to the government of South Australia, so did the Mirnings. In the late 1950s, the British government, together with their obligatory Australian allies, conducted a series of nuclear weapons tests at Maralinga. The Anangu people were forced to vacate their traditional spinifex country on Maralinga and Emu. And were relocated to the mission at Yalata in Mirning country. Maralinga remains uninhabitable and radioactive to this day. The Anangu people were given the leasehold on Mirning country, both language groups separated from their dreaming lands.
The government moved that tribe down onto the coastal land, which is the Mirning land. And the 99-year lease covered most of our, sacred whale sites. very difficult for you know, for a tribe like the Mirni to go back and dream the land and dream your totems. And when you're not there, you know, you don't feel part of it. We feel lost that we haven't got our land.
So it's like you lose the dreaming?
You feel like we lose the dreaming.
Throughout the 80s, Bana, along with a few other Mirning descendants, started to secretly visit their different dreaming sites.
You know, we've been fighting for this land for over 100 years.
Yeah, my grandfather, Mickey Free, he wrote a letter to the protectors of Aborigines at that time. In the early 20th century, and he was refused. And from that day to this day, we have not got, our Mirning people have not got a block of land to live on.
In the 80s and the 90s, a steady trickle of Bana's Mirning relatives continued to visit their sacred sites, despite their legal claims not being recognized. The land rights issue had become publicly acknowledged through the groundbreaking legal case of Mabo, started in the 70s, and continued to be fought in the courts.
We went through that period of anger and resentment and marching down the streets and that type of thing. We went through that. There was a period where we went through that.
Around this time, Greenpeace and other environmental groups formed in response to the ecological holocaust of the whales and the threat of nuclear war. Through their heroic efforts and a wave of global popular support, the whales' populations started to recover slowly, as did the spiritual strength of this particular group of Mirning. But it was most importantly in their hearts that the connection with their totems, the whales, and their dreaming continued to grow strong.